Hello. That, I believe, is the way you pronounce hello, which sounds very similar in Swedish. And I learned that when I went inside of Ikea the other day. Speaking of which, let's get real. I think the main reason we all go to Ikea, apart from the good value of furniture, but I personally love shopping at their marketplace for like plates, placemats. I love that stuff. I use it like for a lot of my own cooking. I love that for that. But I think no trip there is ever complete, and let's get real, I think it's the main excuse we go, without a trip to the cafeteria for the Swedish meatballs. You know it, I know it, but sometimes you go there and you just don't want to be around other people. You don't want them to watch that you've had 5 servings of the Swedish meatballs, and you just want to enjoy it in your own home. I got you. I got you. We're gonna make Swedish meatballs today, and they're going to be so easy, so quick, so delicious that, well, if the only reason you went to that furniture store was to get the meatballs, you might not need to go anymore, because you're gonna be able to make them right by yourself in the Instant Pot, and you could have never cooked a day in your life, but if you follow this recipe, you're gonna be cooking like a pro in no time. So the bags are packed, and we're ready to take a trip to Sweden. Well, a culinary one. It's much cheaper that way. So let's go right to the Instant Pot and make some amazing, delicious Swedish meatballs. Nu går vi. That's supposed to mean let's go in Swedish, by the way. And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing terribly. I'm just hearing Google Translate and trying to imitate it. Right? Is that right?
Nu går vi.
Nu går vi. Let's go. Alright, so the first thing I want to do to make meatballs, Swedish ones, is to use meat. So I want to take a large mixing bowl, get one that's large enough so you can get your hands in there, which we're going to do. You don't have to worry about it falling all over the place, which sometimes I have a tendency to do. I want to add 1.5 pounds of ground meat to this, and that can be a mixture, whether it's a meatloaf mixture, which is about equal parts ground pork, ground beef, and ground veal. If you don't do the veal, some people don't like to work with veal, you can use in my first cookbook, I say 1 pound of ground beef. Try to use one that's less lean, like 80 or 85% at most, and 1/2 pound of ground pork. Or if you don't do pork, you can just do a mixture of beef and veal. Or if you don't do any of those, veal or pork, just use 1.5 pounds of ground meat. Regardless of what you use, 1.5 pounds of the ground meat. All right, I'm using a meatloaf mixture here. To that, I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of breadcrumbs. You can use plain or seasoned, whatever you already have is fine. 2 tablespoons, yes, 2 tablespoons of dried parsley. For seasonings here, I am going to use 1.5 teaspoons or 1/2 tablespoon, they're synonymous by the way, each of onion powder and seasoned salt, 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon each of black pepper and allspice. Add that. I'm gonna add 3 cloves or 1 tablespoon of crushed or minced garlic. 1 large egg that I've slightly beaten, and we all know how eggs are in these days, but you know, if you need to, get some chickens. And 1/3 of a cup of whole milk. And now with clean hands, this part is super fun, get in there and have some fun. Make a little bit of a mess. We're gonna mix everything together. There's gonna be no better way to do this than with your own 2 hands. And there's something very therapeutic and stress relieving about just squeezing all this meat through your knuckles, mixing it all together. You can pretend it's your boss, you know, whatever, makes you feel good. Okay, so basically after about 30 seconds of shaping and kneading and mixing our meatball, we're basically gonna do this into one giant meatball. You see this? One giant meatball. Everything should kind of hold its form and stick together like this. We are good. And now, it's going to be time to turn these into mini meatballs. Okay, so to make my mini meatballs, all I'm going to do is pinch off a part. I gotta be careful how I phrase this. I don't want to say pinch off a loaf. Pinch off a part of the giant meatball here into about a ping pong ball size. We're going to roll it into about a size of, reminiscent of a ping pong ball. Alright? Like that. And just put them on a plate. Alright, and when all said and done, you're gonna have between 24 to 36 of these Swedish meatballs, and I know that's quite a range, but the truth is, ping pong ball size is gonna become varied as you do it. Some will be the size of ping pong balls, some will be the size of pinballs. It really varies. Don't worry, you don't have to be a perfectionist with this. 24 to 36 is really what you're gonna get out of it. Okay, and now we're gonna move on to the pressure cooker and cook these puppies up. Alright, so now to the Instant Pot, I want to take 2 cups of beef broth. Add that in there. And now you could do either one of two things. You could either lay in the trivet that comes with many an Instant Pots. I think they still come with the Instant Pots. At least they did when I used to get them, but it's been a while since I got an Instant Pot because I have so many of them. Or for added convenience, you can get a steamer basket. And it's like a fine mesh basket with a handle already on it, which I personally think is fabulous for many things. And I'm going to add that into the pot to keep the handle up to the side a bit. And then whichever you do, be it the trivet or the steamer basket, you're going to take all those gorgeous meatballs and you're just going to lay them inside. Don't just dump them in, they're still relatively delicate here, so just, lay them in one by one. And we are ready to pressure cook. I'm going to secure my lid, make sure that my valve is in the sealing position, and now I'm going to come down on my control panel and I'm going to hit the pressure cook button, and I want to go up for 10 minutes at high pressure, and that's all I got to do for now. And while the Swedish meatballs are pressure cooking in the Instant Pot, on your stove you can prepare some egg noodles, which those Swedish meatballs will go wonderfully over, especially when we make the gravy at the end. Just do this separately according to the package's instructions. And now that we're done pressure cooking, we're going to allow a 5-minute natural release, meaning we're going to wait for this to count up to 5, and then we'll finish it with a quick release. And now that a 5-minute natural release is passed, we'll finish this off with a quick release. And the pin just drops. That means it's time to take the lid off the pot. And there are my meatballs. And what I want to do now is I want to take that little handle and just pull them right out of the pot for the time being. I'm going to let these rest. And now I'm going to hit the cancel button, and then I'm going to hit the saute button and make sure I'm in the more or high setting. So far what we have in the pot is this wonderful base with our beef broth and all the drippings, the delicious fat drippings from the meatballs that went through the steamer basket, or the trivet if that's what you use. And as it begins to bubble, I want to put on that fabulous, unmistakable, amazing final touch of gravy that we all love all over our Swedish meatballs. I want to add some dairy to this. I want to add a half a cup of heavy cream, as well as 5 tablespoons of salted butter, which is just over half a stick. I also want to add in a 1-ounce packet of beef gravy mix. You can also even use an au jus, and a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. This will be much easier to get that out. If you're not into mustard, or, oh my gosh, can you believe that? Oh my god. That's how it is. We keep it real here. If you're not into Dijon mustard or mustard at all, I love Dijon mustard especially, you don't have to add it, but it's just going to create a really nice flavor undertone. It's not going to be a prominent flavor. Alright, give this a stir. We want to stir everything in here until basically the butter melts. And once everything is all melted and combined and it begins to bubble, I want to add a cornstarch slurry to thicken this up into the perfect gravy consistency. A slurry always thickens in a hurry. I'm adding equal parts, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch with 2 tablespoons of cold water. I mix them together to form a slurry. You cannot just dump cornstarch into something because it's going to immediately just ball up like cellophane. It needs to first kind of be tempered by making a slurry, we call it that, so you can easily stir it into the gravy or whatever it is in liquid form, and then it's going to immediately thicken like a gravy. It's like, truly like magic. Look at this. The consistency has thickened up beautifully, and it sticks to the side of the spoon, the sauce. You see that? That's exactly what we want. Well, this is a spatula, but look at that. It clings just like Sofia Petrillo's marinara clings to her pasta. That's how we want it. And then I'm going to hit cancel to turn my pot off. And I'm going to take my meatballs, look at how beautiful those are, and then just simply add them right into the gravy. And then just stir them around in there, and look at this, my friends. Swedish meatballs! As simple as that. Homemade completely, super easy to make. Alright, now we're going to serve these up. Alright, so I took an adorable little bowl with these little handles. They're so cute. I love using them in my cookbooks, by the way, in the shoot. It's so much, they're just adorable. And I filled it with those egg noodles that I cooked. And by the way, these are wide ribbon egg noodles. Whatever kind you can get in the market, that's a good price. I love setting a bed of egg noodles up for this. And to that, I am going to just simply put some of my Swedish meatballs right on top of that bed of noodles. And then maybe drizzle some of that additional gravy over those noodles, because of course you should. If you made that amazing gravy, make sure you get the most out of it. And now it's time to take a fork and dig in. Okay, and here they are, my Swedish meatballs. Ooh, I'm so excited. All right, so I have plenty of gravy here with the noodles. And by the way, before I even take a bite, the reason why, because I know someone's gonna ask, the reason why I don't cook the egg noodles with the meatballs is because they'll become mush, because the meatballs are going to take longer to cook than the pasta will, especially egg noodles, which cook much more quickly than even typical pasta. So you just do it separately. And if you don't want to serve it over egg noodles, you can serve it over vegetables, you can serve it over rice, you can eat it on its own, you can use quinoa, whatever. So now, without any more explaining, let's try it out. Here we go. Well, I never need to go to that furniture store again. This is spectacular. It is so good. I am telling you right now that this is going to be like the be-all, end-all Swedish meatball for you. At least I think it will be. The gravy. Perfect. Spot on. The meatballs are juicy. They're tender. That allspice that we add in there is really what gives it that little flavor that we all know and love with the Swedish meatball. It's not spicy at all. Even though white pepper can tend to be on the spicier side, it's not spicy. There's like no spice. Even with the black pepper and white pepper combined. If you're afraid and you don't believe me, then just leave it out. But I'm telling you right now, I don't taste any spice. It is such a good recipe. And these meatballs are so tender. I love tender balls. These are delicious. Look at that. Perfectly cooked meatball. Are we seeing this? Perfectly cooked. Tender, juicy. The more tender a meatball, the better. No one wants them dried out. Ugh. There's no place like Stockholm. So good. I love the noodles too. Ridiculous. By the way, I'm gonna just go into it right now. If you like cookbooks, if you're a cookbook person, well, I wrote 4. Yes, 4 cookbooks. This recipe happens to be my very first book, the Step-by-Step Instant Pot Cookbook. It's taken the cooking world by storm. It's become a very popular book, and I'm very grateful and honored for that. This recipe is in it. There's my Swedish meatballs. Every single recipe, and not just this book, but all 4 of my books out, have beautiful color step-by-step photos, as well as a final shot of each and a timing bar, so there's no guessing in anything. Literally, you never have to guess. Trust me, you want this one. There's also the lighter one, which is the blue book. There's the yellow one, which is the comfort food book. And now there's the green one, which is the super shortcut instant pot. It's just like, it doesn't get easier or quicker than the most recent one, which comes out in April of 2023 this year. Just about 2 months from now. You're gonna want that one. Pre-order it, or order it if you're watching this after the fact. You want Super Shortcut Instant Pot. And you want all the books. Follow me at facebook.com/pressurelockcooking. Give that page a like. Make sure you're favoriting or seeing it first. They keep changing it. So just make sure I'm in your feed. That way I can feed you. Whether it's food or humor or deals on items, we want to feed each other. And at Pressure Lock Cooking, that's my social channels like YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much, my friends. And remember, the next time you're hungry and you want to do some good and easy eating, well, just roll some delicious meatballs that are going to remind you of Sweden. Yeah, we'll just say that. Enjoy. It is really good. It's so good I get angry. It's really the truth.